Hi there everyone, welcome to Dandelion Delphi Tutorials. We're going to look at the final of 2020, question 2.1. That will always be your SQL question. First thing you need to do is to go to the back of the paper and look at the layout of the tables. Here you can see TBL employees, they give the field names there, and then very important, the data types. Take note that the ID is text because it could possibly be a number and that it is unique. That means this is the primary key of this table. There's the name and the last name or surname, and then the hourly wage, which is the currency, job title as text, and then first aid as a Boolean value, a yes/no value. They then also give you an example of some records of this table. This page you really want to tear out of that booklet once you receive it and place it next to you. Remember, your database is locked, so you cannot open the database while you are programming. The next table here is TBL logs, and here are the field names. There is the primary key. It says it's a unique number, employee number, and you can see that there was an employee number in the previous page as well. That means that this would be the field that identifies the employee, but that links the hour logs to the other table. So this here is what we call the foreign key. And then the log date, which is date time. Remember to use hashes when you're dealing with this field name. And then hours worked, which is a number. They then show you these tables and what is stored in them. And then finally, they will also include the link, the one-to-many relationship, and one employee has many hours logged. You can see there, this would be the primary key linked to the foreign key of what I call the child table. I suggest you screenshot this table now, as well as this one here, because you will need it when you complete the questions. When you open this program, you will see there is a Restore Database button. That means that, let's say you removed the records and by mistake you deleted all the data in that database and you want to test your program again, you can click on this database and it will restore it to the original version of that database with all the records in there, even if you have deleted some by mistake. This question is often our easy question, and here they just ask you to display all the information on the employees from this table, TBL employees, and that you have to sort it in ascending order according to the job title, and then in descending order according to the hourly wage. Press pause and try it yourself. See if you can get this output. I'll show you the memo soon. Since they asked me to display all the fields, I will use the star. Select star from this table and then order. Remember the space between order and by. First by job title. Remember, order by will sort from left to right. Whatever field you put first, it will first sort according to that. And if you don't add the DESC at the back, it will sort this according to ascending order. You can, however, add ASC there, but there's no need for that. And then secondly, we had to sort according to the hourly wage in descending order. So here it was important to add DESC. This question here does not want us to display all the fields. Remember what you put between your select and your from, that is what the user will see. So we want select and list all three these fields, from, and then my table name. It says we want to display all the job titles with the word engineer. The word contains means that we're going to use like, and we're going to use the percentage signs on both sides of engineer, because it's not about starting or ending with engineer, but somewhere in the middle, or start or end, doesn't matter where. Press pause and try it yourself. You will see that my memos contain this plus here at the end, and I'm separating the two lines. You don't have to do that. You can code between two inverted commas. All of this code can go in there. I'm only doing this so that you can see all the code at one go. So we want to display the employee ID, last name and first name. Make sure that you match the order as per the screenshot here, because in previous years there was a mark for getting the order correct. Should you add an extra field name here, you would lose a mark, or if you leave one out, you would lose a mark. So read carefully. It's still from TBL employees, and then where the job title contains engineer. So I'm going to use job title like. Remember, the percentage signs must be inside of the double quotes that I'm using here. So I have anything that starts with engineer, ends with engineer, or have engineer in the middle. So if it says contain, the percentage signs go on both sides. Here we had to display a list of the different job titles, but they appeared many times in that table. And here we are asked to display only once. That means I need to use distinct. Press pause and try it yourself. So here we have select distinct, the job title. Distinct will ensure that I see only one of each job title from this table, TBL employees, where the job titles appear many times, the same one. I had to remove the record, so this is 2.1.4, where the hours worked was recorded as 99 because that was an error. You'll also see that they say code has been provided to display a message to indicate it has been changed, because when you're using insert, delete, and update, that does not display anything in your DB grid. So this message indicates that that code ran successfully. Press pause and try it yourself. The delete is really easy. It follows the same format as our select. We won't put field names here. You are allowed to put a star there, but you can leave it out as well. We will delete records at a time, so that's why we don't list field names here. So delete from TBL hours logged where hours worked was equal to 99. This is the last question of the SQL question for this paper. And here they say that employees are paid overtime for each hour exceeding more than 8 hours. And employees' overtime is double the regular hours. Now we have to calculate and display the total amount each employee has been paid for the overtime hours worked. You really have to read this question carefully. You also have to format the output as a currency and then display the amount using the field overtime AMT. That just means that you need to use, after your calculation, you're going to say as overtime AMT. And then display only the last name and then this amount that has been paid. Press pause and see if you can get this output. We had to display the last name and then we had to calculate the overtime hours. Now remember the question said anything over 8 hours was overtime hours. So I'm taking my field called hours worked, that was in TBL hour logs, and I'm deducting from that 8 hours. So that means that anything over 8 hours will be charged now or calculated now. I'm multiplying that with my hourly wage, but the question said that we are being paid double the amount of normal hours. So that's why I have multiplied by 2 there. Now this here is calculating per record in TBL hours logged. But so one employee has many records there in TBL hour logs. So that's why I need to have a sum. If Smith had many hours logged there in TBL hours logged, I want to add all his overtime hours together using my sum. So sum there is my aggregate function. And I have a field name with an aggregate function. And therefore I have to group by the field that I'm listing. Remember that rule. Now they also wanted you to display it as a currency, so therefore I have currency here. There's the brackets for currency. It has 2 arguments. The first one there is my calculation, and then the second one is currency in quotes. They asked me to display it as the field name overtime AMT. That is what I'm doing here. And since last name is in TBL employees, hours worked is in TBL logs, hourly wage is in TBL employees, it means I need to read from both tables. If I'm reading from both tables, the first thing I do in my where is I indicate the link. So when you look at that appendix, you will see they were linked through employee ID. So here I have TBL employees.employee ID is equal to TBL logs.employee ID. The only reason why I have the table name dot and then a field name here for both of these is because the field name TBL employee appears in both tables. I don't need to add to last name the name of the table because last name only appears in TBL employees. However, it wouldn't be wrong if you did this. It will still produce it. If you did this, dot last name, it will still produce the same output. But that is really not needed. Now, if you think about it, maybe my hours worked were less than 8. So this will now produce, let's say it was 5. 5 minus 8 is minus 3. And that will give me a negative answer. And for that reason, I need to add there, and the hours worked was greater than 8. This was really difficult to see it in the question because they didn't say anything about it. You really had to use your logical thinking skills to see that I have to only do this for people who worked more than 8 hours. Anything 8 or less, well, 8 would be okay because that will produce a 0, but anything less than 8 is going to give me a negative answer. And then we have our group by. Remember, similar, friends, will, go. Always remember to do it in that order. Thank you guys for watching Dandelion Delphi tutorials. For more explanations on SQL, you will find that in my Dandelion Delphi book 2. I also have extra activities there for you guys. Remember, you don't want to just watch videos, you want to do it yourself and practice. Hope to see you soon.